Can you believe it's time for the soup chips? I know I've been talking about these forever. Medifast does have experimental ideas, and one of the great experimental ideas that I stumbled upon on the internet. I can't even remember when I saw this or where I saw it. If I can find a link, I'll promise I'll link it down because I don't take any credit for this. I found this recipe somewhere else on the web, but I tried it and it worked. I definitely think there should be a video on how to do this. So, soup chips are great. Any cream of soup, cream of chicken, in this case, or cream of broccoli will make the soup chips. You don't need very many ingredients. You just need water, just like regular Medifast foods. You mix it with water. And some parchment paper, not wax paper. Please don't use wax paper. Wax paper has wax on it. You don't want to ingest the wax. It works great in the microwave, and it helps the chips, you know, basically have something to adhere to and cook upon in the microwave, and then you can peel it away so that you can make it. It takes a little bit of patience. I know we're used to Medifast meals being quick and easy and boom, 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 I'm going to eat it right away. This does take a little bit of preparation and a little bit of patience, and you do have to babysit it in the microwave for a little bit so that it doesn't burn, because you don't want these to burn, okay? So listen to that. You don't want them to burn because they will stink like nothing else. It'll get a scorch spot on there. It will stink. So just pay attention to it and don't be scared. Just watch it and, you know, be careful with your microwave. Don't stare into it, you know. Be smart about it. We'll do it together. We'll make a batch together and see how it goes. So are you ready to start? Soup chips? Here we go. Soup chips 101. Here's the tutorial. Ready? Okay, we're getting ready to make the first batch of soup chips, and first you need 1 pouch of your Medifast cream of chicken or cream of broccoli soup. And we're going to dump it into this little glass bowl so you can see what I'm doing. The whole idea behind this to make the soup chips is to make a paste, because we're going to be spreading the paste onto, instead of making a liquid soup, we're going to make a paste, and I'm just going to add some water in little by little, and there's no measurement I can give you for this. It's really just a matter of feeling it and watching it and kind of figuring out the texture, and sometimes I use a whisk for this, but right now I'm just going to use a fork. Cutting in the water nice and slow, and I'm just using regular water out of my fridge, but it's actually, I don't even know how much water I put in here, but it looks like it's right about the right consistency. I'm basically rehydrating the powder, because when we put it on the parchment paper, we want it to spread out in an even thickness. The more consistently spread out it is across the paper, the less chances there's going to be like one little hot spot that's going to scorch. You can either crunch it up and break it up and make it into actual chips like we've been talking about, or if you're really careful and it turns out perfectly, you can have a little, like a cracker, one big cracker, or I call it a tostada because I used to live in New Mexico, so it's kind of like a flat chip, but of course this one smells like chicken soup. But you'll see it. So this is kind of like the consistency. It's thick. See, it's not even coming off the fork. It's really thick. So this is about the consistency that I go for, which, imagine that. I did it perfectly on the first try. Let's see how it turns out. We'll spread it on the parchment paper next. Here goes. So just to reiterate, we use parchment paper for this. We don't use wax paper, and the reason why we don't use wax paper is because wax will melt in the high temperatures of the microwave. You don't want to eat or ingest or melt the wax into the food that you're preparing, so don't use wax paper. As much as you might think it's the same thing, it's so not. Parchment paper has no wax. You can find it in your regular, I mean, this is Reynolds brand, but you know, they have generic kind too. You can find it probably in your dollar store, or, you know, I just get it at my regular grocery store. But just look for parchment paper, okay? Just be sure for that. Okay, so parchment paper, because it's rolled up in that tight little drum, it has a tendency to fold back on itself. So I made a piece that was twice as wide as I wanted it, folded it in half, and kind of tucked the edges under. And I just made a little square. I know this square will fit in my microwave. You don't have to measure anything, just go with it. So I've got my paste here, and this is the soup chip paste. So once again, it's really, really thick, right? So we're going to spread this out onto the parchment paper. I put a dollop in the middle, and we'll just radiate out from the edges, okay? I might have to get an actual spoon or spatula. An actual rubber spatula here and scrape. Nick calls this the $1 million spatula because in the restaurant business, to get everything out of the pans when you're cooking for people, this is the $1 million spatula. I know when he watches this, he'll appreciate that. That's for you, baby. Alright, so just digging it out and thwacking it on there just so we get it all. Want to make get as much bang for our buck on these soup chips, right? So I'm pretty satisfied with that amount out of there. So now I'm just going to radiate this out from the middle and try to make it as even as I can. And it doesn't have to be round, doesn't have to be a particular shape. Just really the goal is to get it as even as you can on the parchment paper. Okay, so you get the idea. Can you see that? So it's on the parchment paper right now, and we're going to pop it into the microwave, and I'm going to go in bursts of like 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds at a time, but I'm going to watch it the entire time. Okay guys, I just got the parchment paper into my microwave. Alright, here we go. So I'm just watching it. Okay, this is after 40 seconds total, and you can see it's starting to get a little bit golden brown in one side, but it isn't cooking very evenly, so we may end up with a scorched piece anyway, but let's see how it turns out. Okay, here's how it looks after about a minute total, in bursts of 20 seconds at a time. You see how it's getting darker on one side? It is starting to get goldeny brown, and if you look at the parchment paper, it's going to start to lift off. It's not quite ready yet, but we'll give it a couple more bursts here and let's see what happens. Okay guys, so this is after, I guess this is just about at the 1:40 mark, a minute and 40 seconds mark, and you can see that we've got some golden brown coloration, and you hear that? It's hard, and it's starting to lift off the paper. And we've almost got a chip here. Let's see if it'll lift off. Yeah, look at that. A little bendy, but it's still getting crispy. So you can kind of get the idea. Let's see if we can break some of these apart. Okay guys, so how cool is this? Here's my parchment paper, and it's already lifted off, and you could tell that if I hadn't broken this piece off, we would have had an entire disc. Now this is hard and crunchy, right? It's nice and brown and crispy, and just watch this. We have chips. We have chips. 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 Do you hear that? Now. Oh my god, that's so good. Can you imagine a little, little wilted lettuce on this, and sorry, it's so delicious. It's so nice to have something crunchy. And they turned out great. This turned out great. It's a chip, guys. It's a chip. Break it up. Put it in a little bowl. Make a, have a little snack in the evening. When you've got shark bait and you're craving chips, you got chips. Please try them. Send me a video response. Show me your Medifast soup chips. Try it with the cream of chicken. Try it with the cream of broccoli. Let me know what you think. I'm pretty ecstatic about this. I'm all for experimentation in the kitchen. Medifast is wonderful. All the food is great, and you can do so much with it. There's no reason to be bored, and there's no reason to not, stay on the plan. You can make chips like this. Now that's delicious. Have a good night, guys, and enjoy your chips. See you next time. So Nick, I just made a batch of soup chips, Medifast soup chips. Tell me, will you try one?
I will try one. I'm really anxious to see what it tastes like. I've heard great things about them. Let's see what it tastes like.
All right. Do you hear that crunch, guys?
Oh, wow.
Was that crunchy or what?
That is really good.
Did that feel like a chip in your mouth?
It really did. That's really good.
That's really good, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. All right. Thumbs up on the soup chips.
Totally.
All right. Should everybody show me their soup chips?
Yes.
Send us
Show
videos.
us your soup chips.
All right.
Please.